Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Archie.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
I am great. I am always great when I see you.
I saw a book and it said someone, instead of saying how are you today, it said babu tu blable.
I think you told me about that book. Wasn't it someone that ate all of the words in a book or all of the pages in the book and then all the words got mixed up?
No, that man could eat a book in one time.
Uh-huh.
Just like a book is here and throw it up and the book fall down and all of the book come inside his mouth and he ate it.
And then all the words come back out all mixed up?
Nope. And the man gets smarter and smarter. And one day, he eat too fast and too many books. He felt a little ill. Then everything was getting mixed up.
I see. Well, I wanted to show you something today. So,
And that book is called The Incredible Book Eating Boy.
The Incredible Book Eating Boy. Okay, so this book right here.
Yeah?
Can you see it?
Yeah.
This is called Gassed in the Machine. Dun, 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 dun.
So we finished the first book. It's a second book.
Actually, we are reading book 3. Let me pull up here.
Did we finish it?
No, we're not quite done. And so I do not know how this book ends, but I did today take a little peek. I still don't know how it ends. I didn't read it, but I kind of did a little flipping to the last page. And one thing I noticed on the last page is it doesn't really come to an ending of this story. It is going to leave us hanging. That is the expression we use. If we are reading a story that takes many books to tell the story, so we call that a series. And if there are many books in the series and the story starts with book number 1 and then it keeps on going until you get to the last story, if you finish a book in the middle and then you read the last page and it makes you feel like, oh, what's going to happen next? That's called leaving you hanging.
It is like Magic Tree House. Is it?
Well, not really. Magic Tree House is a series, but every story has a beginning and an ending in the same book. And then the next book in the series has a new beginning and a new ending. It's a different adventure. But with this series, I think it starts with book number 1 and it goes all the way to the end of book number 6. And Deep Dive, I found out today, is book number 3. So we actually missed book number 1 and book number 2. And Deep Dive is book number 3. And I really have so many questions that I want answered. And I
know you want to say what the question they need to find.
That's right, because they talked early in book 3 in Deep Dive, they talked about how they were going into the Minecraft world to look for answers, but they didn't tell us for what questions. So I'm really confused because I don't know what questions they have, so I don't know what answers they're looking for. And I found out today that we're not even going to find out the answers to the unknown questions at the end of book 3. So I guess the problem is that we skipped book 1 and book 2 of the series. Maybe if we read book 1, we would know what the questions are. So now we're going to finish book 3, and we're not going to know what their questions were. We're also not going to know what the answers are because they leave you hanging and you have to keep reading. So then I thought, oh, well, maybe this is book 5, and your face is cracking me up. Maybe this is book 5 and we only have to read one more book, and then we will find out the answers to and the questions and everything. But today I found out it's book 3, and this book is book 4, and then there's a book 5, and then there's a book 6. And it is taking us a long time to read book 3. We are on today the 21st video for book 3. So you and I will have to talk about what we do for our next book and whether or not we're going to keep going with the Minecraft series, or if we want to take a break from it and read something else, like maybe Jigsaw Jones in the case of the haunted scarecrow. This one might be a fun one to do for a break because it takes place near Halloween, and next month is the month of Halloween.
Halloween.
This one might be a fun one to do for a break. This is another one that's fun to do for Halloween. It's an old story. This story is almost 70 years old. This was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. It's called Little Witch. And the main character is, I think, 8 or 9 years old. So that's another good story for Halloween. So we will have to talk about that, but I think we have today and maybe one more day before we finish Deep Dive. All righty. So I will share the screen. So Archie, I have to tell you, the story yesterday was making me a little nervous, a little worried.
Because it said teamwork following, she said. And she said, I hope, she thought.
She said, teamwork for the win, I hope. So she's not, this part here where she said, I hope, she was just thinking. Teamwork for the win, she said out loud, but then quietly in her mind that no one could hear, she was thinking, I hope. That tells us that she is not sure they're going to win or they are going to be successful. She's a little bit nervous because she and Ash are about to go into the Nether. So chapter 14, oh great. We see here a ghast shooting a fireball. That means they are going to be in Minecraft world. And it says, greetings from the Nether. Are you sure we should keep reading?
Yes.
You're not scared?
Yes.
You are scared?
No.
It says, let me get the arrow out of the way. It says, a bad place to visit, a terrible place to live. Nothing about the title of this chapter sounds good. It tells us they are in the Nether saying hello, and that it's a bad place to visit and an even worse place to live. When I see pictures of the Nether, it makes me think of being inside a volcano that is erupting with fire everywhere, rivers of fire, waterfalls of fire, nothing friendly or beautiful or comforting, just like, the whole time. Well, remember they're splitting up, okay? So Harper and Ash are going through the portal. So yesterday, here we saw the portal, and that's a doorway that's going into another world or another dimension or another place. And this one is going into the Nether, which sounds like a very horrible place to go. And in fact, the title of our chapter tells us it is. And the other three, Poe and Morgan and Jody, are going to stay in the Ocean Monument and battle the ghasts, the hostile mobs that can shoot flaming fireballs at them. Yikes. So Poe watched as his friends Harper and Ash disappeared into the Nether. I hope they don't run into any trouble, he said. Yeah, I hope that too. Right now, we have to focus on the trouble in this dimension, where they are right now, said Morgan. I hope your plan works. Oh, so Poe has a plan. Hey, guess what? Poe said. Me too. That means I hope my plan works too. So I'm glad to know they have a plan. You and I don't know what that plan is though, so let's keep reading. I can hear the pigmen, Jody warned. They are just around the corner. Now remember, they think that the pigmen are only chasing them because of Harper when she had batted the fireball away using her sword. It had unintentionally gone after the zombie pigmen and made them mad at her. So they think that the zombie pigmen only want to chase Harper, and she has now disappeared through the portal to the Nether. So they're hoping that now that she's gone, the zombie pigmen will leave them alone, and then they can worry about the ghasts. But here they come, they're just around the corner. We should lead them away from the portal, Morgan said, just in case, right? They don't want the zombie pigmen to go through the portal into the Nether after Harper and continue to chase her all the way through the portal into the Nether. Poe nodded. Let's do this. Okay, he says, I'm ready. So we can see here in this picture, we've got a ghast shooting a fireball. Are you sure you want to keep reading? Yikes, I mean, look at their faces. They do not look happy. All right, well, we need to zoom in on the words here, so we're not going to see the picture for a minute. Maybe it will be less scary if I don't see the picture of the flaming fireballs. As soon as he rounded the corner, Poe saw that the next room was full of zombie pigmen, but they made no move to attack. Phew! They seemed to have given up the chase as soon as Harper had disappeared. Phew, he said. Harper was right. Then Morgan shoved him, just as a fireball came crashing to the ground. So why did Morgan shove Poe? Because Morgan saw the fireball coming at Poe, and so he shoved Poe not to be mean, but to get him out of the way of the fireball that was coming straight at him. Up there, Jody cried, and Poe saw the ghast hovering in a far corner of the room. Hovering is what the ghast does because it does not actually touch the ground and it does not go up and away. It just stays floating in the air, not touching the ground. Okay, Poe said, just like we planned. Run! Poe took off running. He went in a circle around the edges of the room. So this is part of their plan. Morgan ran in the opposite direction while Jody weaved all around the peaceful pigmen. So she's going in and out around the pigmen who are leaving them alone. The ghast appeared confused by all the movement. Okay, so all three of the kids are running in different directions. It, the ghast, followed Jody for a moment, but drifted the other way when it caught sight of Morgan. It uttered a spine-chilling scream, that doesn't sound good, that sounded to Poe like the cry of an angry cat. So I think the ghast is not happy. Then it shot another fireball just as Poe and Morgan passed each other. They were moving too fast. The fireball missed them entirely. It hit a zombie pigman instead. The pigman burst into flames. Aha, but do you remember what happened the last time a zombie pigman got hit with a fireball? It went after whoever was responsible. So it went after Harper, but this time, who is responsible? It is the ghast. So all the other pigmen turned angrily towards the ghast. Oh man, Poe said, that thing is toast. That's an expression that means game over. It is not going to win. It is done for. Jody, Morgan cried, let's get out of here. As they fled the room, chaos erupted. Chaos is just everything's kind of crazy and so many things happening at the same time. Erupted means it just started. So what are they talking about? Well, the pigmen swarmed the ghast, which launched fireballs in rapid succession. That means quickly, again and again and again and again, to defend itself. The ghast was far stronger, but there were too many pigmen. There was no way the ghast could win. I thought there was more than one ghast, but it sounds like there is just one. Morgan, Poe, and Jody hurried back to the room with the portal. Though the sounds of battle raged on, no mobs followed. Okay, well, before we turn the page, we can see here, those are the zombie pigmen that are surrounding the ghast, and they are angry at the ghast for having shot a flaming fireball at one of the zombie pigmen, which was not the intention of the ghast, but the kids were running around in so many different directions and running so fast that the ghast tried to shoot them, but missed, and it hit a zombie pigman instead. All right, so here I'm going to turn the page. It says, though the sounds of the battle raged on, the battle being between the zombie pigman and the ghast, no mobs followed them. Morgan breathed a loud sigh of relief. Phew! And Jody cheered. Poe, it worked, she said. So now we know what Poe's plan had been. All right, let's take a look at this picture here. This looks like the portal, and it looks like we have Harper and Ash, and they are looking at us. So I wonder if this picture is taken from the side of the Nether, looking at the portal to the Ocean Monument and seeing them come through it toward the Nether. If it's taken from the side of the Ocean Monument, then it looks like they're trying to get out of the Nether and back into the Ocean Monument. We'll have to read, but they don't look happy. So we'll have to read and see what's going on. Now, who is saying this? This is Poe. He says, not that battling endless mobs and dangerous monsters isn't fun, Poe said, taking a few breaths, but I'm more than happy to let the pigmen do the hard part for us. He's being kind of funny. He's saying, well, you know, battling mobs endless means they just keep coming and coming and coming, no end to the mobs. They just keep coming and coming and coming. Sure, continuing to battle them, dangerous mobs, hostile mobs, monsters that just keep on coming. Yeah, that's fun. He says, but I'm happy to let the pigmen do the hard part for us. So he's kind of kidding around. The others aren't back yet, Morgan said. Should we go after them? Before Poe or Jody could respond, Harper and Ash poked their heads through the portal. Ah, okay, so this is taken from the Ocean Monument. You know, if we were Poe or Jody or Morgan, this is what we would see. So we can see that it looks like Harper and Ash are maybe trying to come back through the portal from the Nether back to the Ocean Monument. And we're going to have to see if they are successful. They don't look very confident about this. So Ash says, everything good in this dimension? Ash asked. All clear, Poe confirmed. Good, said Harper, because you guys are going to want to see this. Uh-oh, I think she wants them to go back into the Nether with her. The Nether was every bit as frightening as Poe had expected. Oh, do we have to keep reading? Really? Should we keep going? Really? You mean we're going to go into the Nether and see what it looks like? Oh no. The rocky terrain, okay, that's what the ground looks like, was uneven, so it's not smooth, and surrounded by glowing, viciously hot lava. That's like from a volcano. Everything was the color of old blood. That sounds really disgusting. This place gives me the creeps, Poe said, and I said that too. Creeps, gives me the creeps. That makes sense, Ash said. It's not at all like home. Or is it? Harper asked. She gestured towards the edge of a cliff. Look down there. Poe and the others peered over the edge. His jaw dropped at what he saw below. That's like very surprised. Minecraft was for building. Everybody knew that. Given enough time and the right materials, a person could build pretty much anything here. A castle, a spaceport, even a school. Is that Woodsward Middle School? Morgan asked. Why would someone build a replica of our school? That means a school that looks exactly like their school, said Jody. Poe had a hunch, an idea. Hey, Morgan, do you still have that map? There's the treasure map. The X marks the spot right here. Morgan pulled out the map. Before, it had been a dull, faded yellow and orange. Now it was vibrant shades of red and orange. The X was still there too. I've never seen that happen before, Morgan said. This map, it's been leading us to the Nether all along. It's been leading us here, added Ash, right to this spot, so that we would see that model of our school. It's a perfect recreation, said Jody, except for one thing. Our actual school doesn't have a big red X on its roof. So there in the Nether, they found that someone had recreated their school exactly. A perfect replica of their school was in the Nether. And on the roof was painted a bright red X, like X marks the spot from their map. Poe took another look. Jody was right. The structure was built all in gray, except for several red blocks that gave the impression of an X. What do you think that means? He asked. It means there's more to this mystery, said Harper. And as much as I want to go down there and look around, we are not equipped for the Nether yet. Okay, they do not have the right inventory, the right supplies, the right tools, the right weapons, the right armor. They are not ready to go into the Nether safely. Yeah, and it's hot in here, said Jody, wiping her brow and looking around nervously. And I bet there are lots more yuppie type mobs. We will come back, Ash promised. But in the meantime, I think this means we need to start looking for answers in the real world too. I guess X really does mark the spot, said Morgan. Chapter 15 is called Reduce, Reuse, Rejoice. I often hear this as reduce, reuse, recycle. So this is a little play on words. Reduce, reuse, rejoice. R-E, is a prefix that means again. Reuse means use it again. As she swam once more in the ocean, Harper allowed a sense of victory to wash over her. So this is Harper swimming in the ocean. So they are no longer in the nether, okay? They're back in the ocean. So they have left the nether, they're back in the ocean. They had just faced their greatest Minecraft challenge yet. At first, it had seemed like too big a problem to solve, but they had solved it by working together, by making sure nobody had to face the challenge alone. And this, I think, we talked about this. I think this is the theme of this book. I think this is the message that the author wants us, the reader, to get from this story. That when you have a big challenge, a big problem, and it seems like there's no solution and it's too big to fix, well, teamwork is amazing. Don't feel like you have to handle it all by yourself. It was a lesson she, Harper, would try hard to remember. The next time she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, she would talk to her friends first. This expression right here, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. We say that if we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders, it means that we feel like there's a really big problem that we need to solve all by ourselves. And the problem is too big and we don't know how we're going to solve it all by ourselves, but we feel like it's our responsibility. This is the problem that Harper had in this story. She thought the problem of protecting the coral in the coral reef was a problem that she had to solve all by herself. And Jody helped her realize that she doesn't have to solve it by herself. She can turn to her friends, and together as a team, they can put ideas together and they can help solve big problems by working together. And then we don't have to feel that weight of the world on our own shoulders. A sea turtle was swimming nearby. Harper remembered those baby sea turtles they had saved on the beach so many days ago. Time moved quickly here. Was this one of those babies all grown up? And here's the sea turtle right here. We're pretty close to the end of this story, so maybe we'll see. Should we see if we can finish it today?
Yes.
All right, let me see. We've got these 2 pages. That's 4. There's 6. You want to try? Do we have time? Okay. Protecting those hatchlings. Remember at the very beginning in chapter 1 on the beach when they found the sea turtle eggs, Harper got blown up by a creeper when she was protecting the eggs, right? And then the eggs hatched. And so the little baby sea turtles were hatchlings and they needed to make it into the water in order to be safe. And Harper was protecting them. Protecting those hatchlings had been such a small action, but small actions had big consequences, and enough small actions might add up to something truly great, maybe even saving the planet great. I think this is another point that the author is trying to make. Sometimes the things that we do might feel like they're really small and no big deal. For example, if we have a plastic bottle and instead of throwing it in the trash, we put it in recycling. And we might think, oh, that's just a little thing, right? How can that help the world? But a whole bunch of little actions or small actions all together can do big and great things, even things that help save the planet. Great. Harper breathed a little easier, and this time it had nothing to do with potions or a magical undersea conduit. Now here's Ms. Minerva. Ms. Minerva kicked open the door and entered the classroom. Remember, she is their teacher. Doc was right behind her. Their arms were full of old lunch trays. Oh, you know, they're finally tying those old lunch trays into the story somehow. Remember when we read that page about Ms. Minerva and the lunch trays, and I said, what does this have to do with the story? Well, the fact that the author is mentioning those lunch trays again, I think helps answer that question for me about what does that have to do with the story. Lunch is served, called Doc. Well, lunch trays anyway. Harper hurried over to hold the door open for them. Those are perfect, she said. Are you sure we can use them, Ms. Minerva? I am absolutely thrilled about it, the teacher answered. She and Doc dropped the trays onto the table where Morgan, Ash, Jody, and Poe sat waiting. I told you, I don't want these things to end up in a landfill, okay, in a trash dump. And we can't recycle them, said Doc. So giving them a new life is the next best thing. So they are going to reuse them. Instead of using them for lunch trays, they're going to use them again for something else. That expression, reduce, reuse, recycle, well, it means reduce means use fewer things that can't be recycled. And then reuse means anything that you can use again, do it. And then recycle means, well, if you can't reuse it, find a way to recycle it so that the materials can be maybe melted down and then used again for some other purpose. Let's see. So they are going to reuse the cafeteria trays. I kind of wonder if they're going to use them somehow to do the coral jewelry that is bright colors that is not made of real coral. But I don't really know how you would use a cafeteria tray and turn it into fake coral jewelry, but we'll see. Oh, they are. It says that right here. A new life as jewelry, Harper said. She nodded. We had better get started. Could you use an extra set of hands? Asked Ms. Minerva. Always, said Jody. Pull up a seat. The 7 of them worked all through the afternoon. At first, they followed Jody's lead. As the most experienced artist in the group, she had a lot of ideas for how to cut, reshape, and recolor the plastic trays into tiny coral-inspired works of art. So reshape means make a different shape. Recolor means add a different color. Change the color, change the shape. But as the afternoon went on, they all grew more confident. They began to experiment with new shapes and techniques. Soon they had a small treasure trove of creations. Those creations showed nearly as much variety and color as an actual coral reef. Maybe they'll show us some pictures. No, not there. We don't get to see pictures. We will have to use our imagination. I already got the whole basketball team to agree to wear these tomorrow, Poe said. We know how good they are at starting a trend. Perfect, said Ash. The more students who want to wear fake coral, the fewer who will buy the real thing. And that's good news for the environment, Harper said. She was the happiest she had been in days. Speaking of good news, I just got some, said Doc. She looked up from her smartphone. I heard back from the Coral Research Center. They have agreed to transport our lab-grown coral to a coral reef off the coast of Florida. Jody hopped from her seat. You mean our coral is going to end up in the actual ocean as part of an actual reef? Sweet. Now, this is just a word that means that's great. That's so cool. Our little babies, Poe said with an exaggerated sniff, all grown up. So exaggerated means when you make something bigger than it is. And he's thinking of the coral as, oh, we started it out as a little baby and now it's all grown up and it can leave our nest, leave our home and go off into the world all by itself. The friends laughed. They exchanged high fives. But then Harper saw a familiar face peeking through the window in the classroom door. Excuse me, she said, I'll be right back. She stepped out into the hallway. Theo was there, looking unhappy. Remember her lab partner, Theo? He's the one that was stealing the coral from the aquariums and selling it, right? What are you doing here so late? She asked. Looking for you, Theo said. I thought you'd be in the computer lab, like usual. Not today, Harper said. We're making fake coral. I'm hoping it will convince kids to stop buying the real thing. So, you're trying to fix the mess I made, Theo said glumly. Glumly does not mean happy. It means not happy. I'm not blaming you, Harper said. I know you meant well, Theo. Maybe you know that, he said, but what do your friends think? They probably think I did this on purpose, that I don't care about the environment. They're nice people, Harper said. They don't judge anybody. Then can I join you all for Minecraft sometime? Theo asked. Harper hesitated. She paused. Another awkward silence. We don't really have an extra spot at the moment, she said at last. Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say. Theo pulled his backpack straps tight. Well, you'd better hope I don't find a way onto your server, he said, because I could really spoil your fun. Harper's mouth fell open as Theo walked away. I think he just threatened them. Hey, are you okay? Asked Jody. Harper turned to see her friends watching from the open classroom door. We didn't mean to eavesdrop, Morgan said. Eavesdrop is when you can hear something that someone else is saying, even though you're not really supposed to be listening and they don't know you're listening. But did he just say something about ruining Minecraft for us? I don't think he meant it, said Harper. He's just feeling a little hurt right now. Maybe, Morgan said, He rubbed his chin. Or maybe we found the Evoker King. Dun, 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 dun.
I think the sixth hextech is the Evoker King, and the Evoker King is Theo.
Very good prediction. I would make the same prediction. And I don't think they're going to find out who the Evoker King is until the end of the 6th book, which is 3 more books from now. Before we say goodbye to this series, there was one picture we saw earlier in the book that I want to show you if I can find it. I want you to remember this picture here of the teacher, okay? Here's what I wanted to show you. The day that they were in the ocean and Poe was playing a basketball game, so Poe was not with them, and the other 4 were in the ocean and they were just kind of restocking their inventory, collecting coral, swimming with the dolphins, having fun. And then when they went back to their home base, that thing that reminded me of an elevator shaft that I think Ash had made, going from the floor of the ocean up to the surface of the ocean. And then they had put inside of it here their bunk beds. And when they were swimming toward it, they saw someone inside of it. And then when they went in, that person was gone. But instead of finding that someone took their things, someone had left them some things. Someone had given them more supplies that they would need that would help them, like water breathing potion and I think the scute, things that would actually help them on their trip. And so this person that was in the game seemed to be doing things that would help. And they didn't know who it was because that person wasn't there anymore. But I remember looking at this picture, and I want you to see that character, okay? Now with that character right there, now look, see who that character reminds me of?
Miss Minerva.
Does it remind you of her at all?
Yeah.
I just feel like looking at her hair and her glasses, it kind of reminds me of her a little bit. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it made me wonder, does Ms. Minerva come into the game to help them out?
Maybe it used Poe's headset to come inside.
That's right. Maybe that was using Poe's headset. There was also
and maybe the other day, Theo used the steal the 6th headset and use it to come inside to be the Evoker King.
Yeah, maybe that 6th headset that's missing is being used by Theo to be the Evoker King. And you're right, maybe on the days when Poe is playing basketball, Ms. Minerva uses his headset to come in and help them out. Because it was more than this. Remember at the very beginning when they found the treasure chest and the treasure map, and Morgan was worried because the things in the treasure chest were not random. They were actually useful, as though someone was organizing for them the exact things they would need in order to do this kind of trip, like the water breathing potion, for example. And also remember when they got to the ocean monument and that conduit just happened to be there, which was able to kill the guardian. And we learned that a conduit cannot just appear naturally. Someone has to create it. Someone has to make it. And it wasn't them. And then after that, they found the prismarine shard inside the ocean monument that can only be there if someone had killed a guardian. And this one was not the one they found from the guardian that they saw killed by the conduit. It was another one. So there has been some evidence of another person being in there, and we have seen that person doing things that is helping them. But there are definitely those warnings about the Evoker King, and now seeing the school in the Nether with the red X on the roof and the threat that Theo just made to them on this page. right here. This is pretty telling. He says, because I could really spoil your fun. So that is very interesting.
What does spoil mean?
Spoil your fun. Spoil your fun means to ruin the fun that you're having, to make it so that it's not fun anymore. So did you like this story? What do you think? Was it a good story?
Yes.
Got a little almost scary at the end, didn't it?
Yes.
But you liked that?
Yes.
Okay, so with October coming up, which is Halloween month, which one of these two would you be interested in?
Let me see. Maybe Jigsaw Jones.
Jigsaw Jones?
Yeah.
Sounds good. So long.
Heather Chip.
Bye, Archie.
Bye.